Sing with me. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. Let me begin by a story of a little boy who was watching his mother putting on some cold cream on her face. I don't know if you know that, but men, maybe you've seen your wives, or maybe you've seen your mothers. And this little boy saw his mother, and the mother was putting cold cream on her face. And so the little boy said, "Mommy, what is that stuff you put on your face?" And so the mother said, "Oh, this is to make me beautiful." And then with tissue paper, she started removing the white stuff on her face. And so the little boy kept on looking at his mother's face, and he said, shaking his head, "Mom, it's okay. You can try again tomorrow." You know, brothers and sisters, sometimes, everybody say that word, spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity, for many people, is like putting on cold cream. You do something and automatic, say that word, automatic. Automatic, you become mature. That's not true. I don't care how much cold cream you put tonight, tomorrow, nothing much will change. But if you do it long term, if you do it every day, if you do it for weeks and months and maybe years, maybe something will happen. Spiritual growth is not an overnight thing. Amen? Many years ago, I had a criteria. I actually had a list of things that will make me evaluate if I'm spiritually mature, or if the person I meet is spiritually mature. I had a list, and I brought it with me in my mind, not physically, but in my mind. This is my criteria for knowing if you are spiritually mature or if I'm spiritually mature. You wanna look at that list? You want to look at that list? I'll show you. This is the list of my old, many years ago. Here it is. 9 signs that will make me see if you're spiritually mature or not. Number 1, if you pray every day. If you spend 30 minutes a day or 1 hour a day, my gosh, you are spiritually mature. Or if you read the Bible every day, that's for certain you are spiritually mature. Or if you attend church, or if you go to a prayer meeting once a week, yes, you're spiritually mature. Or if you have evangelism in your life, you bring people closer to God. My gosh, you're really growing in the Lord. Or if you have an active service, a ministry that you're doing, yes, that's wonderful. You're or if you tithe, or if you read the spiritual books, or if you go to confession monthly, if you go to Mass every day, or if you pray the rosary every day. I had this list in my mind, and I tell myself, you're spiritually mature. Oops, you're not spiritually mature. Oh, you are. Oh, you're not. Why? Based on this list. But as the years went by, I changed my mind. Are people allowed to change their minds? What do you think? We change our minds because we've experienced something else. This is what I've experienced. I met people who had the criteria, who did all those 9 things, but you know what? I was shaken to the bone, to the core of my heart, and I realized they were not spiritually mature. Something obvious. When I was 13 years old, I was molested. I was sexually molested at the age of 13 by my youth leader. He was a religious man. And brothers and sisters, believe you me, he prayed every day. He read the Bible every day. He was a good preacher. He was someone who was very active in ministry, no doubt. And he went to confession, and he went to Mass every day. He was a religious man. He had a huge cross around his neck. My gosh, huge. He was wearing a white Barong Tagalog or a blue Barong Tagalog. He had a silver cross on his collar. He was a religious man. And yet, for years, he molested young boys like me. Now, why? I'll give you another example. I have someone in mind. He was a man if I used this 9 signs of spiritual maturity, his grade would be A++. He went to Mass every day, sometimes twice a day. He would go to confession not once a month, once a week. He would be reading the Bible every day. He was, wow, A++. And yet one day his wife comes up to me and she says, Brother Bo, I want to get out of my marriage. I want to get rid of my husband. And I said, no, your husband is a saint. And she said, Bo, you don't live with him. He treats me like garbage. He treats me like trash. Brother Bo, I want to get out of this marriage. And our kids hate his guts. And it just began to make me think, maybe my list is wrong. Maybe my criteria is wrong. What do you think? What do you think? There was this bishop. He was known to be very upright. In fact, he was so strict with his seminarians. And people looked at him as a very holy, upright man. So strict, sometimes very severe in punishing his seminarians if they did something wrong. Later on, they found out he had a mistress with 2 children. I am giving you exceptions. Say that with me, exceptions. These are exceptions. These are people who had it, but we're not spiritually mature. And then, here it is. As the years went by, I went into business. I met all sorts of people. I gave corporate seminars. I went all over the world. And I began to meet people who were not even religious. Some of them were not even going to church. But some of them, I'm not saying all, there were this select few people who, I'm thinking of one man, for example. This guy, he doesn't even go to church on Sunday. But when I'm with him, I experience the love of God. He is such a loving man. And I'm telling myself, wow, why? Everybody say this word, exceptions. Okay, I'm not telling you my list is wrong. Is that clear? I love my list. But this list is it's not the signs of spiritual maturity. What is it? Ask me, what? The signs of religious maturity. There is a difference. Do you see the difference? There is a difference between religious maturity and spiritual maturity. And I'm not saying that religious maturity is wrong. It is wonderful. It is important to be mature in your religious practices. But it is not equivalent to, it is not equal, it is not identical, it is not synonymous with spiritual maturity. Do you want to know what it means for me now as I've grown for the past 30 years of doing the Christian life, of loving God, of serving the God's people? I've come to realize that there is a new list. May I share with you my new list? May I? Yes. These are my 9 signs of spiritual maturity. And I want you to look at yourself and find out how you're growing in the Lord. Number 1.
I have a big God.
I have a big God.
I have a big God. I have a big God.
I have a big God.
I have a big God.
I have a big God.
I have a big God.
Me too.
I have a big God.
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 How big is your God?
Thank you so much for your monthly tithes and love offering to the Kerygma family, without which this broadcast won't be possible. We know that God will reward you abundantly for your generosity. God bless you.